Hello and welcome to the Overton Audios podcast. My name's Carl Chadwick.
And I'm Daniel Penn.
And on today's podcast, it's just me and you again, Daniel.
Yes, and for only the second time in this podcast history, together in person.
Yes, we are here.
We are snuggled on a couch right now.
Yes, indeed we are. But we will be showing off some segments from the new short film that I finished making called Tonight.
Did you finish it tonight?
It's very funny.
Yes.
You're an amusing man, Daniel.
I am not, but I appreciate the compliment.
Very well. And then we'll also be discussing the On the Scene 2 drama that's coming out.
Yes, because that comes out at the end of February, doesn't
it? It does. Indeed it does.
So anyway, Connor, Chatters, my friend, how are you doing? Very tired, I see. Well, thank you all for joining us today in Overton Audios podcast.
I'm very tired.
It's been a long day.
It has.
I arrived from the airport about
5 hours ago.
5 hours ago, and it's been non-stop shenanigans ever since.
Oh my! We did some voice recording. Just hung out and chatted and caught up a bit.
Yeah.
And then, what else have we done? And then, of course, we watched the only Doctor Who episode that I have never seen.
And you wish you still haven't seen it.
Yep, I was right to miss it. Because it was after the finale of the series I swore off Doctor Who initially.
Yep, I think if you saw the special, you would not have recovered.
No.
It is, of course, it's Last Christmas.
I know what this is. I know what's happening. I know what's at stake.
We can stand about arguing whether I'm real or not.
I promise before this Christmas day is done, you will be glad of my help.
The Cantor of Far Eye.
Think about a dream crab. A dream crab is coming for you.
The dream crab induces a dream state.
Dreams within dreams. We're dying.
Every Christmas is Last Christmas.
Because every Christmas is Last Christmas. The defeat in your voice speaks volumes, sir.
I mean, it was certainly weird jumping back because, we've had nearly 5 years of the Chibnall era.
Yeah.
So then jumping back 8 years to Last Christmas. And because it was the Series 8 finale that made me swear off Doctor Who. I was just so done after that finale that I swore I was never going to watch the Christmas special. And I started watching again in Series 9 because it had been a nice break. But I didn't watch as a fan. That's the first series I've watched and I've not liked the show at all. But I've watched because I just felt like I had to as a viewer. And I'm glad I didn't watch it when it aired.
Because you would not have recovered. You was just sworn off the show at that point.
The pacing's all over the place.
It really has.
They just show up and say things like they're being told they're dying and they could die at any moment and they talk for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You're like, is it chop chop?
And it's also like looking back on it as well, it's just one of those weirdly shot episodes as well. It's all very staged, all very wooden.
Sorry, it's because we're talking about the episode again.
In all fairness, your yawn had more energy in some of the scenes.
Indeed. But we've also got some other announcements, haven't we, Daniel?
We do.
Because we recorded last month's podcast and the podcast before back to back.
In November.
Yes.
So thus, we did not discuss much of Doctor Who Flux.
And we didn't... Oh, it's more moving on to your apartment.
Oh, yeah. And yes, as we disclosed in the last podcast, that I was in the middle of a move. I was... me and my amazing other half, Anya, were going to move to Belfast. We had a place ready for us. Mm-hmm. But then... we were ready to move, as told in the podcast, but then the landlord started acting a little shady. I mean, a little shady, quite shady. So we just decided to not go ahead with the place. We backed out and got our deposit back.
Oh, you have got it back now?
We got it back, yeah.
Because I know that they were illegally holding on to it.
Yes, but we're not going to go into too many details. I don't want to name names. I don't want to really disclose much, but basically it's not
Yeah,
gone ahead.
Sean.
Okay. But,
There's no one called Sean involved.
There's no one called Sean involved.
I just thought I'd see what you'd say, because I thought if I guessed the landlord's name correctly, that'll be hilarious.
Yeah, but I can't remember the name anymore.
Declan.
Wasn't it Declan? And I like how you assume it's a man.
Fine. Meredith.
It's not Meredith either. I don't know what it is.
Mary.
I remember it was a very, very posh name. I was like, it's like, god damn.
Alistair.
No. I can't remember what it is, but I just remember it was a very posh name considering the area. But it was just like, God, we made them. And yeah, we backed out. We're currently looking for a new place. And hopefully we'll find a new place within the summer.
But you also mentioned Dr. Flux, because when we last recorded, episode 4 was it episode 4 just aired?
Yeah, the Weeping Angel episode.
So we literally were like, oh, I wonder what the next 2 episodes have in store.
And then they're the worst 2 episodes of the series, in my opinion.
Well, my opinion is that I liked all 5 episodes, except for the last one.
The thing is, I liked...
And that really, I mean, you heard my voice. It broke my heart.
It did.
I loved all the Flux up until the last episode, and I was just like, what on earth happened? I have no clue, and I can't explain what happened in the episode.
It was just a bit much. It just had to be a simple closer, but it did too much. And it just felt too packed out. And everything it built upon just felt that it just crumbled. Like, what I liked what Flux did, it regained a sense of, seriousness with the Sontarans. But then we got that Sontaran had craving for chocolate.
I don't mind that so much, because it's not as bad as Strax.
Yeah. Chocolate!
I think the Sontarans have to be a bit silly. Oh god, I'm so yawning. The Sontarans have to be a bit silly sometimes, because they are very serious and to be taken seriously. But they do have a sort of lovable, funny quality about them.
Yeah.
Like they still did some of the stuff they did in Moffat's era where, he's like, yes, of course, we have a deal, and I hope to destroy you in the field of battle. Farewell. And then he just leaves shouting, I'm going to kill you all, but later.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But it's all about honour. Because he'd made that deal, he had to threaten them, going, I'll kill you later rather than right now, like you would have wanted.
Yeah. But I was loving Flux up to those last 2 episodes. I only say I don't mind Survivors of the Flux. I don't know what it was.
I feel like all the hype for that finale and what things were hyped for, and then none of it happened.
Yeah, it was just sort of like, you want a real finale? Wait till the Centurions, but no,
Centenary.
Wait for that next August, and then you'll get a proper finale. It was like,
Apparently it's November.
November now?
Well, I think it was always November.
Oh, I remember it was August. No, not August, October. I remember it was in October.
I don't know anymore.
I don't know. But, yeah, and... So, yeah, that was Flux, and we also got Eve of the Daleks, which completed the quote-unquote Dalek trilogy, but this episode had nothing to do with that trilogy.
COVID.
But here's the thing, I had an idea how they could have made it part of the trilogy, just by... it could have been one of those 3D printed Daleks from the last special that was in storage for some reason. And then they could contact those other Daleks, and all 3 of them could have been trapped in the time loop, and it could have connected very just in some way.
And the only thing that needed tweaking was the reason why they were there.
Yeah.
Could have been like one of the old artifacts of the original Daleks, and it had become activated and sent a beacon or something.
Yeah. But it's just because there was no mention of it whatsoever. Literally, we had...
that's the thing. As a trilogy, it works because, the first 2 work. Because Resolution, you have the new Dalek, or the Reconnaissance Dalek, and then it links into the second one by having that same Recon Dalek as a cloned Dalek matter call out and create its own race. And then the new Daleks, the current Daleks come along and they cleanse the Earth. It would make a lot of sense because to have that still back and have that be a concurrent theme, like on the midst of a Dalek civil war.
Yeah, but it would have been nice as well because it would have been nice if it was one of the Daleks from Revolution that was just sort of put in storage but got reactivated, and it realised that Daleks were extinct because of the flux and wants to kill a doctor.
Yeah.
And yeah, that would have been a pretty cool wee plot. But I just wish... The thing is, the main thing that sort of bugs me is that they didn't know what Daleks were. It's like, you look like those defence drone things that the Prime Minister tried to issue last year.
Yep.
And it's like you're right, there's always that continuity thing with Daleks.
Well, think about how RTD was with Daleks, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but this is literally 1 year on. This is meant to be like a reoccurring trilogy or something like that. A line, I'm talking like a line, it would have done nothing to impact the story, rather just get connect a bit more to the remaining specials.
Yeah, that's the only thing is now when you watch that trilogy, the first two are connected somewhat. And then you have the third one where he goes, oh yeah, in that 6-part story, we're here to get you for that now. Nothing to do with the fact that technically the Doctor had already killed in Revolution of Daleks thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of Daleks by compiling them all into one TARDIS, then crushing the TARDIS.
Yep.
Like somehow removing and taking out a death squad.
There's nothing.
Yeah. But then again, they could have just said, well, we've been hunting you ever since this, but then when the flux came along, we knew where you were.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, like I'll be honest, I enjoyed it considering I heard that Chibnall only had 2 weeks to write that episode. Yeah, I can't remember where, but I have heard that online that it took him 2 weeks. And
what, because he was forced to, or just?
I think it's because it was a matter of like he was only going to do 2 specials for 2022. It was going to be the Sea Devils and then the 100th anniversary BBC special. But the BBC wanted him to also do a New Year special, so he just started writing it because they had the production booked out for certain dates. And obviously there's also more restrictions with COVID, so I don't envy Chibnall having to write an episode in 2 weeks with COVID restrictions in mind. So he had to play. I suppose he had to play it incredibly safe with it.
Yeah, but nonetheless, I think it still kind of holds up. And if anything, you get to know the characters a bit more. What do you think of that Nick character? A bit stalkery?
Just a lot of red flags.
Yeah.
I am just like...
It was like, but how many girlfriends have you had? Oh, they're not girlfriends. They're just people I spent one night with. So he's kept memorabilia from every girl he's been with.
I wanted there to be a twist anyway. He was a serial killer. Just like he kept like little artifacts, had them named him like little sticker, like that is just so stalkery, so just like that is serial killer vibes right there.
I will say my favourite joke in the whole thing was when Nick had put up this pile of all of his ex's stuff to be exploded, and he'd said the joke, X terminate, and the Dalek just stared in silence and then just fired and killed him. Like no words whatsoever, just stared at him and then fired. I've got no words for what you just said.
I saw a friend of mine who did a reaction to the episode, and he said he's like exterminate, and when it cut to him later on, it's like I knew they were going to use that pun. And he's like, yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
It was just a silent Dalek. That's what I loved. The Dalek just could not speak. It was just I hate you. I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, I think in all fairness, there was a nice sort of message into it. Like he's a weirdo.
Always trust stalkers.
No, one line that it was said I really did like is like he's a weirdo, but he's a kind-hearted weirdo.
Yeah, he collects the possessions of women he's only spent an hour with, but he's got a kind heart.
Yeah, he does that because he think he might want it back. It's just a Monopoly board.
Yeah, you might as well just throw them out or just keep them at his.
Yeah.
There's no point he visits there once a year to put loads of more stuff in. It's just when they find out they actually, technically the storage unit blew up, but is that him actually just covering up evidence of some murders?
Could have been.
No, the building with all the evidence and blew up.
It's like that would have been such a twist.
Yeah. It's like, let's go travelling together for many months when no one will be in contact with you.
Where the police can't find me.
Yeah.
He's like, they'll never catch me. I'm going travelling, and all the evidence somehow blew up in his storage container.
Yeah, all the evidence of the flights are in her name.
Yep.
Oh no, she's gone missing, not me. God. Anyway, moving on from kidnapping and possible like dark Doctor Who endings. Shall we talk a little bit about the Tonight short film?
Which has kidnapping in it.
Yes, that's probably a good segue.
Yeah.
But it came out recently. The trailer was released in July. But here's a segment from the film.
Linda,
What's wrong, babe?
we need to talk.
Now? About what?
You know what?
No. I don't.
Stop lying to me, Linda. I know everything. I know you have a secret fella. I know you've been messaging him. I know you've been seeing him. I know.
Liam, can you get him away from me, please?
No, I've seen the messages as well. And Russell needs an answer now.
You left your Facebook on when you were last at mine. I saw the messages, so I know it's true. You don't realise you've broken my heart, do you?
Welcome back, and I hope you like that Tonight segment. That's taken a long time to make, hasn't it, Daniel?
Quite, yes. I remember you told me about back in... I think you told me you started filming it back in October 2019.
Yes, that's when the first day was the 24th of October 2019, and we shot actually over half the film at that point.
You were telling me you were filming it when we filmed The Candidate.
Oh, yeah, actually, I think, we filmed The Candidate about 4-ish days.
Before you went to film
Yeah. And then we went and shot it. We had another filming day in February 2020. And then we organised another one for the 24th of March 2020. And then our lockdown got announced on the 23rd of March. So the film could have been wrapped. And then obviously when things started to open up a bit more again that summer, we were able to finish it in July 2020. Then
further
lockdowns meant we didn't get the ADR recorded until July 2021.
The following year.
Yeah. And then we had to send it to the sound designer, who works on other films as well. He works on quite big films as well. So he didn't get it done until really recently, until just before New Year. Then I was just like, oh well, let's upload it now.
But yeah,
that's why the initial trailer went out in July, because I thought he'd be quick. But good things come to those who wait.
And boy, did we wait.
Yes. So that's on my film channel, Red Matter Productions. But what I love the most, and I keep going on about it, but I just loved the way that we were able to do this. Don't know if you remember this, Dan. Do you remember the ATM scene?
I remember that scene very much, yes.
When it was shot in October 2019, but you have another character watching them, and that was shot in July 2020.
Oh.
But they're both wearing the winter clothes, because it was mainly shot during the winter months. But there's this one shot where the thing that we filmed in October with one character, he was in the background, but because they'd left all the fairy lights from the previous Christmas in the trees, still looked like winter. The only difference was there were lots of people walking around in short-sleeved.
Yeah.
But because the main characters are still dressed for winter, it really sells it nicely.
It does. It really does.
Yeah.
And especially since it's night, there's not really much about temperature. Because we film in different seasons, there's usually a tonal shift. You can sort of tell, like when you film in, say, the summer compared to winter, there is a sort of...
But yeah, think about how when we shot Waterside, when we shot Waterside season 3 in the autumn and winter months, it was very rich in colour because of how the trees start to change colour, etc. Whereas in the summer, it was like season 4, it was very yellow, very bright, vibrant colours. That's just how the seasons work. Yeah,
we did some Dimension of Dogs reshoots recently, and we filmed the original scenes back in August, and we filmed it now in the middle of winter. So we're trying. I'm currently trying to color correct every clip to look like it was from summer last year.
Did you do any visual effects for tonight?
I did none at all.
There are no visual effects in the film.
No, in fact, I asked you, are you sure there's no visual effects? You sure you don't need a telecall? Are you sure you don't even need a poster? You were saying to me, there's nothing for you to do this film. This is the first film you've done in quite some time.
Which has no visual effects at all.
No, I have none involvement.
We got some drone shots, which a couple of people who've watched it already think that was stock footage. No, someone actually went out with a drone and got the shots of where we were actually filming. But it crashed and broke.
That's not funny at all.
No, one of the motors just went, and then it crashed into the middle of a roundabout. Like the actual proper grassy island roundabout.
Oh, I think I remember
it was filming the whole time. So you can just hear it going...
Hello, Siri.
Because you've not turned the speaker off on your phone.
How do I do it?
That's your watch. Ha! Isn't that funny, audience? In order to switch off his phone, he looked at his watch.
They can't. Well, they couldn't see that until you told them that.
Well, yeah, that's why I say it.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you told me that kids are going there's like a rescue mission for the drone.
Yes, there was. You can hear footsteps and just see the shadow of them, and then they look at it and talk for a bit. But it was interesting. There was certainly a lot more elements to it because this film was directed by Nick Miles, who has he for example, for people who may know him from maybe more looking at the Doctor Who community, he played the Doctor in The Ultimate Conflict, played by Chris Thompson, or Chris Walker Thompson as he's known now. But also he's been in a couple of my audio dramas as well. He's done some ones for Time Traveller before, but we've also made films together like Hunted, Against Time. That's all on the
Watersiders, of course.
Yeah, of course. He was in Watersiders, William Anderson, otherwise known as Tommy Sawyer.
Yes,
we'll cut that in seamlessly.
Again, spoiler alert.
Yeah, just have someone. But yeah, so essentially. This was the third or fourth time I was working with him. But the whole point of this film was that it was supposed to be shot over 2 days.
It was shot over 2 years.
Well, that's the thing. It ended up becoming 3 days. It was only 3 days of filming. Still, even though it took so long. Because it was meant to be October to do these certain scenes, and there was all the car scenes we had to do, which would have involved getting Kate and Adele involved. But they weren't free, so we were like, okay, well, we're not actually going to that filming location where the car has to be parked, so we'll just concentrate on that, and etc., etc. And then we had to change up the scenes.
Yeah.
All of their scenes were supposed to take place inside of a car. Now in the film, they never get into the car on screen because of COVID. So you'll see very much so that when all the scenes with Kate and Adele, you'll see when they actually have the confrontation, there's a really funny wide shot which really shows off the 2 meter rule. Because you can just see them stood there and you're like, this looks like social distance acting here. So, yeah, it's essentially, I think it still worked well. Because the script was changed really nicely to where they changed it to an outside location because there was a bit of a confrontation. The whole point was in the car, it was meant to be very claustrophobic. So, yeah, but it works just as well being outside because it's all out in the open. We're under a tunnel, not tunnel, but like a bridge, but it was, you know...
And even the social distance can be like the distance between these two characters.
Well, yeah, the characters were leaving to go out partying.
Yeah.
And then Chris' character, Russell, goes out to confront them, and they just don't go anywhere near him because it's that kind of... We don't shoot it initially to be like that. It's only when the wide shot you reveal how far away they are from one another. But it works. I still think it really works.
It does.
And we obviously were safe about it. We all really discussed it, obviously, because it was still July 2020. It was only it was only 4 months after the first lockdown.
Yeah.
That's how soon it still was. I hadn't even moved yet.
Yeah.
That's how I hadn't even started my... That was actually, when we wrapped the film, it was 7 days before I went and saw the flat that we're currently set in.
Indeed.
Yeah. So that was when that happened for context. That's how long it took to make this film. This is a proper lockdown film. But it's got... I love the way that we shot it, just because it...
You sort of had the sort of same experience, sort of like how the Batman's production sort of went.
Yeah, but we didn't have like the main character get COVID at one point and shut down production again. We just had lockdown stop us from meeting in the same room to do ADR together.
I meant more towards you began the filming before the pandemic, and then...
It was meant to come out in 2020, in October 2020, like a year after we started. And now we are in January 2022. But what's weird is most of the actors, as a result, they usually have a film coming out yearly or every 2 years. But as a result, we've now suddenly got a jump of 4 years.
Yeah.
Like, their last film was 2018, and then this one was starting in 2019 to come out 2020. And then it's now 2022.
Yeah.
So it's just weird how COVID has just stretched out time for everything.
Exactly, and it's just...
It's like 2020 and 2021 are just blank years for most of the time now.
It kind of is.
Especially when you look at Fractured Timeline as well.
Oh my god.
Last episode was in 2019, and all of a sudden we skipped to 2022 now. You know what I mean? It's like most things for us are blank. Visual stuff we make are just blank for those years now.
Yeah. So it sort of made more room for us to do the audios. But
It was like Fragments. Do you remember Fragments? We shot in January 2020, and I deliberately delayed it so we'd have something to release during the lockdown.
Yeah.
So, because I shot one with Hugo and one with you within a week of one another.
We shot that, I think, a couple of days before the first cases of COVID hit the UK.
Yeah, it was your birthday as well,
Yeah.
wasn't it? What a lovely story that had. Your birthday. And then I shot one with John last October.
Yeah.
Which I'm still waiting for the monologue to be written, because typically we work together to write the monologue, and then then the person who's acting in it records it.
Yeah, is it sort of like a way you shoot interesting visuals that could tell a story that you figure out?
Yeah, because obviously with your one it was very clear.
Yeah.
With Hugo's it was about friendship and the difference of opinions and how we shouldn't be divided by political opinions and stuff. And then John's one is very much about the divide that's been created because of COVID. That one's actually the only one that's actually timely, because all the other ones are kind of something you could place into any time in your life. But COVID is a shared thing, so I didn't want Fragments to necessarily always be something that we put to a particular time.
Yeah.
But this is really spoilers because it's not really been seen really, but basically John's story is because ever since COVID hit, he's experienced a lot more racism in the streets.
Oh, Jesus.
So his is about when we were going around London, we do it based on Asian hate. Because obviously it's gone up 110%.
Since COVID, always since COVID, yeah.
And but we 100% when we were making it, it was always John taking the lead. I wanted it to be really something that resonated with John, which is why I've not tried to push him or anything to finish doing the monologue. But also he's incredibly busy as it is anyway.
Yeah.
He's sorting out the rest of his life.
He has 20 plus scripts.
Well, yeah, he's got 20 scripts to currently record for me anyway. That could change, as in could get less. But as well as that, he's got to write the monologue and then record it, and so I don't mind when it comes out anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of hate crimes.
Speaking of crimes, you could just say crimes.
Shall we talk about On the Scene 2?
I think we just segue to it.
Which I don't actually think has a hate crime in it. So
it has crime. It has crime.
Let's listen to the trailer,
please. You could just said crime.
Overton Audios presents.
The trial is on the murder of Chelsea Baxter. Jack Grant stands accused.
How can he keep doing that? I thought he confessed.
The defence will do anything possible to get a conviction.
Like the bastard Watson L.
I know. It's not what you think.
Was that Darren Kelly leaving the cafe?
Yes, but it's nothing intimate.
It could compromise the whole case. You're both key members of the investigation.
The deceased was alive at the time of death. She was sat facing away from the shooter, and the bullet entered the back of her skull.
Yes, call it in.
I wish she hadn't died.
But why sell her the drugs, you fucking prick?
That was your last warning. Get him out.
I just let my anger get the better of me.
We've talked about your anger issues, Darren. You need to keep it under control.
Isn't Jess Palmer also the cousin of Chelsea Baxter, who is the deceased in this case?
I don't know.
I understand that D.S. Taylor and you are friends outside of work.
Yes, she's a family friend.
There's a lot of family involvement in this case, Miss Palmer. These are all breaches of regulations.
Hi, I'm D.S. Taylor. May I ask you some questions about a girl who visited here last night?
Look, my club took a massive hit when Chelsea Baxter's story came out. I don't need another girl affecting my business.
Her father lives in Shadwell. The body was found in Shadwell. We are also trying a case in court to do with a drug dealer and murder from Shadwell. All seems too convenient.
On the Scene 2. Coming the 26th of February 2022 at 12 p.m. Welcome back. I hope you like the trailer. Hello, Daniel.
Hello, Channers.
And we are joined by one of the actors who is in this thing.
Audio drama, I
yes.
think.
We're joined by PMG himself. Hello, PMG.
hello. No,
It's
I
just
just
crime.
stick to normal crimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you were in the first on the scene, weren't you? But you were
Yeah.
just playing an annoying.
I was Keith. Keith in it, mate.
Keith, yeah, you were the nightclub owner.
Proper bouncer, like.
But
obviously he owns the club. But
yeah. But it was very much a cameo of, oh, gee, really, oh, come on, it's going to ruin my business kind of thing. But without getting too much into it, we really develop on the character and how there's actually more going on in Shadwell than what was first seen. Because in this one, again, full disclosure for you both and for everyone listening, I've never seen Broadchurch.
It's alright.
The second series is about the trial of the murderer in the first one, and then everyone went, "Oh, that's Broadchurch." I've never seen it. It's just something I planned, and then I don't know if
Based on Broadchurch.
but basically, there's a trial happening in the background. There's another murder, and meanwhile, we introduce Kat Furness's character Bonnie, who was originally just the sort of childhood friend where they both happened to go into the same profession together. She steps up a lot more, and sadly Stuart wasn't free to return to the role of I think was it D.I. Simmons? Yeah, it was D.I. Simmons, I think. But he is mentioned as if he is part of the trial, but we don't really hear him, sadly.
Yeah.
But that's why I thought maybe in terms of that, then it might be good to bring in Bonnie Taylor.
As the secondary character of the story.
Yeah, but did you like recording for On the Scene too?
No, I never do. It was really nice to be able to bring what was, as you say, a cameo in essence, and expand it a little bit more. It's quite difficult for me to talk about the role without spoiling anything, so I do apologise if I sound particularly vague at any
Shall I
point.
provide some context and then you'll know the parameters?
Yeah, mostly because I've got a migraine right now, and
Perfect timing.
It will mean that I don't have to do the thinky think because I can't.
So in the first one, the murderer was obviously, they track their movements, there was clubbing involved, they go to find you, turns out there was a fight going on, and it leads into a huge thing that it was a drug dealer.
Yeah,
and
I remember
that element is expanded upon in terms of people using the club to deal drugs.
Yeah.
And that has led into more so with yourself being the owner, and questions get asked.
And sometimes answered-ish.
And you both looked at me when saying that, okay.
Yeah, don't answer the questions. Yeah, I
wasn't
remember
involved
very
in
much.
this one.
Then why are you talking in my segment? Get out. Yeah, I remember in the first one, Keith was quite standoffish because obviously
it's a reputational thing for him.
Yeah, he's got a club to run, and he doesn't want these dealings and the old bill getting in the way, sort of thing. And then obviously in the second one, things have come to the fore a bit more, and so
as the trial continues, and
yeah, so obviously the trial's continued, so they've needed to find various evidence and stuff. So they've returned to the club. I mean, obviously Keith has returned to the club; it's his business. But I mean, the lead character played by Kate Lassman, she can't come to the club because obviously
she's actually giving evidence in the trial. She's the one who helped crack the case.
She's unable to for that reason. And Kat Furness's character, Bonnie, is the one who comes instead because obviously she's not...
well, they basically, in this story, they begin to work together as partners in a way.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So she comes along, which interestingly enough, I actually put Kat Furness onto Connor, not literally, that'd be weird, in terms of I connected the two dots, as it were. So... thanks to me, you get lots of Kat Furness.
I remember it was back in 2016 with Time Traveller Retribution. I said I needed a lot of voice.
2016?
I remember I needed a lot of voice roles, and you put me forward with lots of other people like Kat, like Hope.
Yes.
And I think that was it. But
yeah, because there were two very small voiceover roles.
Like podcast speaker.
Yeah, there was a news
reporter.
I think Kat was the news reporter and Hope was the podcast speaker. I could have that the wrong way around.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just sort of dropped their names in. And I know that Kat in particular, it's significantly better for her to be able to do voice acting roles at present, for a variety of reasons that aren't mine to say. people just have preferences as well, obviously. And you've managed to wring a lot of productions out of her. I know that she frequently features in Overton Audio productions, which is great.
Well, she plays Romana in Doctor Who Resurrection and Uncharted Past as well.
Yeah.
She's
Absolutely
also played
great.
Lily Johnson in Time Traveller.
Yeah.
She's Bonnie here.
Absolutely great to have her.
She's done some other roles for like Young Doctor and everything, others like one-off characters.
There's been a lot of sort of cameos or as you say, one-off roles. She's done some, again, big returning character roles. So it's been really great that you've been able to do that. And obviously I've been working with her now for, I think...
At least since 2014, as far as I'm aware.
I can't remember if I met her in 2013 or 2014. We shot a feature film together called Shooting on the Rim.
That was a good film, I like that one.
Yes, I particularly enjoy it as well. For those not aware, it's a mockumentary about the making of a porno. And there
you go, fans.
Yep. So if you want to watch that,
I don't think it's online anymore, is it? I've got the copy that I bought to support what you were part of.
It is online. It's changed where it is.
I'll send over the torrent.
No, I believe it's on YouTube now, but you do need to have verified that you're over 18 for it because of its content. But the way that I actually met her, she actually followed a production I'd done 3 years prior, so it would have been 2013.
What a good times. Good times?
No, fuck good times.
I'll always bring that up where I can.
That's because you're a dick. Good Times was a perfect example of how not to make a film.
But your best performance?
Yeah, if you say so. 2010, I was making a web series called Ramblers.
I love Ramblers. We sat down and watched them all together.
I really, really enjoy Ramblers. I could do a lot better with it now.
Dan, did you ever see Ramblers?
I think you should show me a few episodes.
I might have it still on my hard drive.
I definitely have. I've just not got it with me.
It's like a 10...
It should still be on YouTube as well.
A 10-episode mini-series, right?
Wouldn't say mini-series, but yeah, it's a 10-episode web series.
Okay.
I think they're between sort of 15, 20 minutes. Some of them might be closer to 10 minutes. I mean, again, migraine, and I shot this 12 years ago. In fact...
Just after you finished uni?
Well, I actually graduated in the middle of filming.
Oh, wow.
We shot it over 2 weeks. The first week was all the day shoots and a lot of external stuff. I went away one night, then stayed with my parents in Chester in a hotel, graduated the next day, stayed overnight, and then my parents dropped me off as they drove back down to Essex because we were filming in Manchester. And I wasn't even living in Manchester at the time. I was actually living in Leeds still. Not
Back in the
Leeds,
day.
the city centre, yeah. I was living outside of Leeds actually, but... so I was shooting that, and she was actually very big on the social media aspect of that. Like, she was commenting on it, she was enjoying the stuff we were putting out, and I ended up sending her a friend request then. And it wasn't until I went to pick her up for shooting on the Rim in 2013 that she accepted it after I dropped her back home at the end of the shooting day.
Wow.
So it took her 3 years to respond to my friend request, and that was because she went to send me one. She went, "Oh, he's already sent one 3 years ago." I was like, "Yeah, cheers, Kat." And we've been good friends ever since. I've unfortunately not got to see her very much.
I mean, you've seen her recently, though, haven't you?
Fairly recently, just not recently enough. We've tried to since, but there's
also COVID you got to think about as well.
Yeah, exactly. And also,
we always tried to avoid COVID every podcast.
It just creeps in.
The podcast was born out of the first lockdown, and we always go.
You always claim to try and avoid COVID, and you always bring it up by saying, "We always try not to talk about COVID, but we're going to now."
To be fair, that was kind of this time.
Yep.
Yeah,
But it is, to be fair.
It's like we always go like, "Oh, how have you been?" COVID. I mean, then there have been one or two where we've just not mentioned it at all.
We should start issuing punishments to those who mention COVID on this podcast.
Who even think of saying anything.
So the next time someone mentions it, I'm going to slap them.
Mentions what?
COVID. It's one way to give myself my
just for the listeners' sake, he did actually slap himself in the face.
Yeah, but
it wasn't one of us reaching over.
Although it does sound, actually, I shouldn't have said anything. It would have sounded like you hit him.
I actually did it before I registered I was doing it, so the slap was marginally surprising. But yeah, so
who hit me? Ah, you're looking at your own hand.
Just a bit of alien hand syndrome, yeah. But yeah, so like I say, Kat and I have been good friends since. We've made a lot of productions together since as well. One of my favourites is probably Thriller. Well, sorry, no, Gorilla, which is a thriller parody, and it's not Gorilla as in ook ook. Yeah, that's my wonderful gorilla impression. It's Gorilla as in the warfare style or the shooting film style, where you just get things shot as best as you can, and really
but
like
the hiccups
that production.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, thanks for interrupting my story. You know, it's not like this is my craft. I know I'm not talking about On the Scene 2 anymore, but I'm sure we'll get back to that soon. But yeah, so like I say, we worked over the years together, and then this particular project, like I say, we both got to work on The Scene 2.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a weird one because with audios, you very rarely actually get to record lines together. So you've got Kat recording her lines.
Mm-hmm.
Did I record my lines with you this time, Connor, or did I do it
On The Scene 2?
Yeah.
Because
a few times I end up... Because obviously I work with Connor a lot, and so we end up together a lot, and sometimes I'll just go, here's some scripts, get doing them.
Yeah.
Whilst we're sat next to each other.
I think, me and Dan were recording yesterday.
Yeah.
Because we had some lines that needed doing.
The last time I was here, I actually recorded 8 episodes in total, didn't I? It was, I want to say it was 4 episodes of Supers, maybe? And 4 episodes of an undisclosed production, which is not because I've...
Right, let's have a look.
Forgotten.
On The Scene 2, I've got currently the schedule open. You recorded your lines on the 17th of August.
Christ, that long ago?
Last year, yeah.
Oof.
This was made between, literally, the only months I've got down here for it are July and August.
Oh, okay. Well, at that point, I might have actually been at Ardacon, or it was just before then. But yeah, so I imagine I probably recorded those on my own. But so you've got Kat, who actually happens to live around the corner from me now. She's living in the same place where I first picked her up from, but I've since moved near hers, not for any reason other than that's happened where I moved to. Yeah, just keep digging. And yeah, so she's in her flat over the road or whatever, recording her lines at whatever point. There's me recording my lines in my flat, or potentially in a hotel. Wouldn't be the first time. And yeah, so we're trying to obviously perform the way we would perform, but also perform in a way that we know the other would interact with.
Yeah.
And then Connor's got to hopefully be able to marry those together, sort of thing. Now, obviously, Kat and I have worked together enough times that...
I should have just made you meet up and record together, shouldn't I?
COVID. Yeah, so, I mean, we could have done, potentially. Although, knowing us, we would have taken significantly longer to do it. We tend to laugh a lot and make stupid comments and...
Especially considering what was happening in the scene as well.
Yeah, like, we would have just been giggling the whole time. And... yeah, I mean, there's a lot of times where working together has been difficult because it's fun, and that sounds really, really stupid.
No, I know what you mean. Like your friends as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And you want to make your friends laugh.
Yeah, and to be fair, usually we're the ones in control of the productions that we've worked in together. Not with Shooting on the Rim, just to be very clear on that. I don't want to take away the. Obviously, I don't want to take away credit from the actual filmmakers, because in that one I was an AD and I was also a driver. No, I wasn't AD. Sorry, I was a runner and a driver, but I was mostly in it as an actor. For Shooting on the Rim. So I don't.
You always end up doing more.
Yeah, always.
Remember when you were just the actor on Waterside and you became a full producer?
Yeah, I mean,
you go from first AD to full producer.
Well, I wasn't even first AD at first. I was
at the end of season 2, you were basically telling everyone where to go.
Yeah, season 1, because let's remember I was in season 1 of Waterside. I was just acting. Season 2, I was just acting until near the end, and then I was.
It was when because we were making it so slowly. It would have taken me the best part of a year to do because I was doing it, and then you were like, just get everyone here on the day.
Yeah, and to help you out, that was when I started bossing people around, and they were comfortable with me essentially being the AD.
Yeah.
I think on that last day, actually, we did make me officially the AD for the day anyway.
And then that bled over into season 3 anyway.
Yeah.
Whenever you were there anyway, because you couldn't drive down all the time.
Yes, obviously it's difficult because living in Manchester and you being in Essex, and that's Essex and London being where I got shot.
And now I see you weekly.
Yeah.
So then again, that's me and you travelling to meet in the middle.
Yes, yeah, we meet in the Midlands most of the time.
For work.
Yeah, and then come season 3, I did some script editing for season 3, I think, didn't I?
You think you're the main script editor, then we had the once over from other people like Cynthia, and I think with season 4 it was a similar thing, but no, what was that Hannah?
I think season 3 was Cynthia.
Season 2 and 3 was Cynthia.
Oh,
season
yeah,
4
yeah,
and 5 was Hannah.
For season 2, I think Cynthia was looking at the edit rather than the script.
Oh, okay.
Which she wasn't in the pre-production for season 2, I don't think.
No, season 2 was very, very early days.
Yeah,
It was only
like
Hannah
I
at
say,
that point.
because to start with, I was just acting in it.
Yeah.
Season 3, that I started to expand the role. Season 4 was when I was going to almost take over the production role aspect.
Yeah.
Except someone got in my way with that a bit. Not Connor, to clarify. But they did kind of get between us, and I'm not very happy with the way that we ended up working together.
We're still not forgiving you for that, Dan.
Can you please clarify in the podcast it's not me?
As much as I blame Dan for a lot of things, this particular one wasn't his fault.
Let's know I didn't make you completely miserable during conversations.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it goes. But no.
I spoke nothing but nice things about you
Yeah,
until now.
Yeah, and no, you're going to keep speaking them. No, I particularly like the way that Dan fell over that time.
That was great. You were like, I'm in a suit. I don't want to lie down on the floor because it's been raining.
I planned down the fall.
Because you were going to lean on the wall, Doctor Who fan film style.
Yeah, no. I was going to lean on the wall. I was going to slide down the wall.
And potentially damage the blazer more.
No, but gradually. But it was going mainly like my hand just sort of like easing it down a little bit. But what ended up happening
was... There was a bit of moss there, wasn't there?
There was a bit of moss, and I slipped.
Yeah, you can see it on the camera where basically you can see the heel of your shoe go whoop, and
it looks fantastic.
When you fall,
for the
you
production.
really fall as well. That's what sells it, because you look so annoyed.
Do you know what it is? It's the Hans Gruber fall, isn't it? It's that he knew he was going to fall, but it didn't happen the way it was expected, and so genuine terror happens on the face. But even better,
so therefore,
because you're wearing those glasses, because you're wearing those glasses, you go and then you do the fall like you're expecting it, but then you slip, and all you see is you go.
I probably had the widest expression on my face. We couldn't tell.
I mean, you looked incredibly annoyed.
If you take that little sequence of the energy blast being thrown at him falling down,
I do.
and then my reaction is just, what the hell was that? That's funny enough with the VFX that Dan did, which, by the way, compliment incoming, so you'll be happy. The VFX is brilliant for it. And Dan did it all on no fucking budget as well, with not really any time either, to be fair.
Have I told you that I worked out how much, with Dan's visual effects rates, how much I owe him if we were to pay him for the visual effects?
I'm going to assume about 40 grand.
Bit under that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's in between, it's around about 35?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we did the maths, because there was over it was about £30 a shot anyway.
So if you're across me, Shadows, I won't invoice you.
And then weren't revisions like an extra £10 on top of that?
Basically, yeah.
So I didn't count the revisions.
But there you go, then I've probably estimated possibly just under what.
Considering that we spent 10 grand on the production,
yeah,
it would have cost 50 and it would have just been you.
So 80% of a 50 grand budget would have been done, not including paying him.
You realise how much stuff this is, like how much this is expensive?
Yeah, well, as well, like just the sheer amount of visual effects shots for a series like Wolfside, which I would actually argue for a sci-fi series is very low on visual effects shots. Even though there are so many.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily the simplest either.
No.
I can hear the pain behind that.
But going back to that thing, even funnier is after you've seen it with the VFX, is watching it without the VFX. because you see Adele just sort of throw a hand a bit in his general direction, like she's fucking Spider-Man going, go web, go.
It was this particular thing that works without the visual.
And then Dunn falls down perfectly, and then I just go, what the hell was that?
It works. It doesn't look like she did anything, but yet you still fell.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to go back into that scene and just put webs.
Yeah.
What the hell was that?
But yeah, I think we got onto this just because I was saying about work that I'd done with Kat, and then we somehow got to that from here. No, here from that.
From On the Scene 2, yeah.
So anyway, back to On the Scene 2. So On the Scene 2 trailer will be coming out on the 19th of February, followed by the full thing on the 26th of February. It's the second one, obviously, because it's number 2.
Yeah.
And now, shall we have a little read of the comments? Also, PMG, would you like to also read some comments as well?
Yes, as long as I don't have to read any I've left.
So, comments. It's been a long time. This is the first podcast we recorded in a couple of months, so we've got a lot to get through.
Yes, we do.
So, I'm going to start off with the Tonight short film, and then we'll move on to the releases for Overton Audios. So, the comment I have here is from Dragonside Entertainment, otherwise known as Eamon Longman himself.
Hi, Eamon.
And he says, great film, stand-up performances from across the board, really interesting and unique story with some mature and heavy messages and content. Well, yes.
Indeed.
That is true. It took us a very long time to sort out the story. It's meant to be philosophical between the bad guy and the good guy, and whether or not the line is blurred there. Anyway, moving on to the audiobooks. We'll start with, because we're going back to the beginning of December now, with Remembrance 2, Episode 1, Dr. Woodman. And here we have a comment from Jeevan John. This first story of Remembrance 2 was spectacular. The writing was absolutely amazing, and it really manifested within the narration of Lewis Willhouse. This story had a great balance of humour while also trying to stay as a serious tone. Also, I just really wanted to praise Lewis's work on this as the writer as well, and the narrator. He did an amazing job. 600 billion out of 600 billion. I sense we're going up in that scale again.
I think we are, yeah.
Another comment from Michael Cox here. A great collaboration between Lewis and the seasoned writer Connor. A fine story that enabled us to focus on Henry's character development at a critical moment in his relationship with the Doctor. And in many ways, his masquerade as the Doctor demonstrates that he has learned much from the Time Lord himself and has a lot to offer in his new life away from the TARDIS. Lewis is to be commended for bringing such great energy to his performance. Moving on to Psyche, to episode 2 of Remembrance 2. From Jeevan John. The second story of Remembrance 2 was amazing. The writing was incredible and the narration by Oliver Silcock was fantastic. This story was overall a joy to listen to, and it gave a really raw and honest insight into the mind of Veritas and what he has become. 700 billion out of 700 billion. Oh. Another comment from Michael Cox. Oliver Silcock brings both intensity and depth to the story and its performance. He takes both Veritas and the audience on a rollercoaster of emotions as he explores the raw pain of this most troubled of incarnations. The first half of the drama offers the listener some hope that Veritas can find healing and can experience redemption. The great tragedy of the character is that he cannot integrate the negative side of his nature, his darker emotions and his haunting memory of past mistakes, but remains at odds with himself as he cannot forgive himself, and thus cannot love himself. This is the genius behind the creation of this iteration of the Doctor, for Veritas is not like the Valiard. The latter is the Doctor free of moral constraint, and proud, ambitious, cold, and calculating. However, the former is the walking wounded, who lashes out because grief, anger, and regret consume him. This is a profound and truly excellent drama. Congratulations. That might be one of the nicest reviews I've ever had.
It is.
But, yeah, it was nice to return to Veritas again, and I do generally think it was a really nice story that Ollie wrote.
Yeah.
I still really love it. It's really nice insight, because it takes place concurrently with one of the episodes that actually got released. Because it's based on the same time as Trial of Veritas. I believe it was called I can't remember. I know it was episode 3 of Trial of Veritas. I can't remember the title of it now. But it's when they do meet Katie, and he does write into it where it links in with the story, but it's more from an internal narrative, and that's why I think it really works. Plus, your cover art was one of the most unique ones you've made.
Yeah, I
really love for that. Anyway, episode 3, the final episode of Remembrance 2, called Falling, the first script that Eamon Longman ever wrote for me.
Really?
Yeah, he wrote this a very long time ago. Then we have a comment from Eamon Longman himself, Dragonside Entertainment. Beautiful, I'm so proud of this story and you guys did such a good job with it. I've already listened to the ending about 7 million times. Well done and thank you. I can't wait to see the release of more of what I've written in 2022. And then lastly, Michael Cox. Interesting use of the structure to tell Albert's story. Slow building towards the big reveal. I'm presuming that the final scene is one more illusion, since the Doctor has made it clear that he could save someone who had passed. Yes, it is meant to sort of be implied of that. Now, the last one for December, Torchwood Decades and Decades, which helps close out the Torchwood trilogy. I told you there was a long list to go through. We've missed 2 to 3 months now, make stuff weekly. Yeah. So, we have a comment here from Michael Cox. An excellent production. Oliver Silcock demonstrates his superb skills as a leading man, holding the drama together. I love Matt's interactions with established Torchwood history, which were very sensitively done so as to create a strong story for this release without stepping too heavily into the BBC's primary narrative. Due to his personal circumstances, it is entirely understandable that Matt's manner towards others would be somewhat abrasive, particularly to the unit officers, but thankfully that did not dominate the story. The introduction of Henry Woodman allows for further character development, and we see Matt softening around the edges, and this was surely good preparation for his touching and emotional response in the final scene, as his story arc reached its very fitting conclusion. A side note, I do think there is mileage in a return of Colonel Peters and Captain Ward, entirely together or separately. All in all, a great listening experience. And then he put, I think, a hand clapping and asked, I hope it's a clapping emoji. But yeah, we are, as we've announced with Rebirth, we are doing a volume.
Yep.
So yes, we will see that happening.
Indeed.
Another comment. So many. We're getting towards the end. Only 2 more comments left. Jeevan John says, Torchwood Decades and Decades was superb. The story was incredible. All of the cast were amazing. Stephen McCullough as Colonel Peters was amazing, and it was nice hearing him and Matt interact. James Sutton as Fraser was amazing, and I really loved hearing his character on this and how he had to make a deal with Matt to let him go freelance. Christina Baxton as Zoe was incredible, and it was really nice hearing the interaction between her and Matt, as well as learning a little bit about the backstory of her character. It was great hearing Lewis Willhouse on here as Henry Woodman, and I'm happy that his return was done in a good Torchwoody way. Brianna Downing as Roxy Taylor was amazing. It was a joy to hear her, how she and Matt found each other again quite so soon. And of course, Connor Chadwick as the Cravat Doctor was amazing. It was nice hearing him again after so long. But last but no least, Oliver Silcock as Matt Vowles was amazing, and his story was closed off in a beautiful way. As for me, I was so happy to be on this. Oh yeah, because Jeevan John's in this episode.
That's right, he is.
And I really loved playing my character. Overall, this was an amazing last end to the Knife trilogy, and I loved it. 200 million out of 200 million. But anyway, you've got some comments because you released another trailer, didn't you?
I did, for Dimensions of the Daleks, and I am very, very pleased. There's a lot of reveals in this trailer.
Oh yes,
lots
yes,
of
there
surprises.
is.
I told you about that day. That dark day. The day I lost my brother. Powerless to help. But now I can.
Maggie?
Jordan?
Derelicts have ruled over this dimension for the past 5 years.
You lost so much, Doctor.
Run!
Jessica Whitehouse, Lily Roberts, Nathan Chase, Maggie May.
Maggie is not good!
Not yet.
I will end you. I will kill you. I will exterminate you!
Run!
I only hope that my failure leads to your victory. Duke Dumini? What do you think the pronunciation is?
Duke Domini.
Duke Dominate here, 99. Sorry. It just says nice trailer. Thank you.
For all that, it's just nice trailer.
I want to get. I have to give everyone their moment. Instability Productions, which I think is George.
That's George.
My fave people are in this, so I'm happy. George, you're one of our favorite people too. Much love. Mikey Gavin says now. Mikey's grammar's a bit everywhere, but he always means well. He says, "Wow, Fractured Timeline, Daniel Pan, Dimension of Dogs is coming this year, and good trailer. The trailer was very quick, and the music was very quick. And hope this episode comes this year. And sorry if I was not in the premiere and chatting live of this trailer at 1 p.m. at the afternoon, but very good trailer. Dimension of Dollars. Can't wait for this episode. And if this episode don't come out this year, I will comply with this episode."
You will comply?
It says I will comply with this episode.
Does it mean complain?
No, comply. It says it may sound weird, but that is...
Yeah, but complying is... That's what I mean. Like, obviously, like you said...
You all say comply...
if you comply, then it just means you're going along with it. But,
yeah.
So, okay. I'm assuming that he'll complain that it's not out or something. I mean.
Maybe, or he'll comply with
with waiting.
He'll understand the wait, maybe.
Maybe.
Because it is a hefty episode. When is the actual movie getting released from Malcolm Armstrong?
The movie?
You
mean this episode?
This episode. No, fair, it is a movie. It's going to be about an hour long.
Fair play.
It is coming whenever it's finished. We still have...
Really good answer there.
We have still to film TARDIS scenes with Luke's move coming, I think, later this month.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
Sure.
It's within the year anyway.
Within the year, something's happened, but you're not going to be able to get back over there, are you?
No, it's very expensive, and I've got a wedding to plan as well.
Yes.
So it's very hard to get to England. I came over this weekend for a meeting.
Yeah.
So that's why we're able to be here, but filming and all has been very difficult recently. But we'll get it out. We are determined to get Series 2 done this year.
Mm-hmm.
We also have comments from Ben Miller, Doctor Who Adventures, just being very positive about the trailer, very excited.
Oh, that's good.
And we also have Michael Cox.
Oh, here we go.
He says, utterly amazing, can't wait to see it. And he hopes it's going well with the production.
That's good.
We love Michael here.
Yeah.
And
he always writes such really positive and really well thought out comments.
I really look forward to this when the episode comes out. I really do. And of course, at the very end, we have Jeevan.
Of course.
It wouldn't be a comic show about Jeevan.
Let's hear the numerical scale.
He actually didn't leave one here. I'm disappointed.
Oh, he didn't review the trailer.
He didn't review the trailer.
Oh, Jeevan, you've let your game down.
Jeevan, that's time, mate. Okay. I can't believe my eyes at the ending. It was done so well. From what I've seen in this trailer, I can see we're in for one heck of a ride.
Oh, very good.
Yes. Well, thank you all very much for commenting on the trailer.
So this is for Doctor Who Machination Episode 1, A Werewolf in Leeds.
Oh.
So the first one is from Jeevan John. This first episode to the Northern Doctor volume was sublime. Leah Barté as Nick Hammond was spectacular and loved his contrast of attitude towards Thomas and the Doctor. Frankie Espin as Thomas was incredible, and I loved his character progression throughout the story. Last but not least, Nathan Carter as the Northern Doctor was absolutely fantastic, and I love that we now have a volume of his Doctor on Overton Audios. P.S. Hearing that theme tune made me feel so nostalgic. And for the numerical score, let me just check because I'm struggling to see.
I got the look of 700 trillion there.
100 quadrillion.
Oh, okay.
Out of 100 quadrillion.
Oh,
so top marks. Good going.
Top marks. You're the other ones with billions. Oh,
it's going
it's going to get to a point where it's just going to be easier to say full marks. So CSP has said, it's great seeing a new take on an old classic. I remembered seeing the original and thinking, this was fun despite knowing it was from 2010 and it had all the limitations it had back then. But now we have this Target-style adaptation which works just as well as the original did all those years ago. Well done to the team who did this. Cannot wait for the rest of the episodes, especially the third one since the original YouTube release was muted and the last one as it's all brand new stuff. Dragonside Entertainment has said, great to see.
Amen.
That's our comment on that.
Cool. So, Eamon has said, great to see. Well, hear Nathan Carter back in the role. He slips back into it so easily. The Doctor I grew up with. I remember sitting at my nan's computer in her spare room on school holidays watching Series 2 as it came out and being really excited. Just to have him back in one way or another is, to me, like Tennant or Smith coming back. So, pretty high praise there.
Just made me feel old on that comment. 10 years ago was 2012.
Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah. The pre-Connor years. Michael Cox has said, so not only is the Doctor regenerated into this incarnation, but the Northern Doctor era has also regenerated. Smiley face. The characters are clearly defined and the cast gave great performances. The story was excellent, including humour, sorrow and suspense, and gave sufficient space for the dynamics between the characters to be established. Very looking forward to the next episode. Smiley face again. 2 smiley faces. Pretty good review.
Emojis are... Oh, we can hear his smile.
I just made sure that they knew that we
can always hear the smile.
Yeah. Edit out the smiles if you're that fast.
So, episode 2 of Machination, Fortress of the Cybershades. We have a comment here from Michael Cox saying, an excellent episode which gave us time to see the emerging character dynamics between the Doctor and Nick. I loved the use of the Cybershades, although I did really feel sorry for them, which is true because the Cybershades, you might know, PMG, it was, remember that Christmas, 2008 Christmas special with David Tennant, and it's got David Morrissey playing the next Doctor, and it's got Cybermen in Victorian times. Cybershades were meant to be cats and dogs that had been made into these cyber creatures, and they were like gold faces of Cybermen and like beast creatures and everything. They weren't really meant to be like Human 2.0 and stuff like that.
What I actually remember better is episode 2 of Doctor Who Machinations, because I only listened to it this week.
Good, well...
And it's very well explained in there as to what a cybershade is, so if you haven't already listened to it, go and listen to it.
That you're both saying my explanation was bad?
Yeah.
So, the next time, episode 3 of Machination. Comment from, and now this is the nice thing, the original writer of The Doctor and the Disappearances, J.R. Mortimer. I've not heard from him in years, but Nathan got in contact with him and sent him this episode when it came out. And he commented and said, how strange it is to hear a new version of this script over 10 years on. This is such a good adaptation of the original story. Amazingly, I still remember some bits from the original script. There's some great dialogue in here, and I absolutely wish I had thought of it 10 years ago. Thank you for including my episode in this reworked series, and for giving it an excellent audio makeover in 2022.
That's really nice.
I remember his channel back then as well, and he was making fan films as well.
It's very wholesome.
Yeah, it is. To the last episode that I have to read for. And here we go with episode 4 of Machination, Weeping Wilderness. I think by the time this podcast comes out, episode 5 would have already come out, but we'll read that next time.
Yeah.
So, we have a comment here from Michael Cox. Excellent performances from the cast, a truly great drama. Well, invariably, anything with the Weeping Angels is. They are unnervingly menacing and so very deadly that they really do raise the level of danger posed to the protagonist. It almost feels as if the Doctor could just lose, and that measure of uncertainty makes the story even more appealing. But just a minor point. As it's purely a matter of personal preference, I think that the Doctor's journey with Baines to the town could have been stretched out for a little bit longer. This would have enabled the young man to ask a bit more questions about this strange traveller, and thereby build the trust between them. It would also have helped to build dramatic tension by frustrating audience anticipation. After all, we know it's a Weeping Angels adventure, but we don't know when they're most likely to appear. And the key thing about the Angels is that, for the most part, they are shadowy, half-glimpsed menace. But I digress, just keep up the wonderful work. What I will say is, because I do agree, I listen to them as if I'm a viewer again when they come out, because I make them so far in advance. This script was the last script I wrote for Machination back in 2019, before we had a gap to then work on episode 5.
Yeah.
So I don't like this script, because it was 2019 Overton Audios, and since then, we've made Uncharted past all 4 volumes.
Yeah.
The writing has changed so much. This is all 2019 writing, 3 years old. And I just feel like I've learned so much more about it. So I'm hopeful that episode 5 will be enjoyed a lot better with pacing. This was back in the day when I was still only making 10 to 15 minute audio dramas, whereas now it's expanded, isn't it? And half an hour to 45 minutes. There's a lot more pacing. So I do agree we could have extended it more. At the time I was being very factual to keep it as close to the original as possible, but it seems like a lot of people have liked the way it goes off in newer directions.
Yeah.
So that's something to take on board for the future as well. If we ever do another adaptation, that it might not be so bad to decide to make those changes.
Yeah.
So, Daniel, any other words? I noticed that you've been on your phone, not listening to any of the comments.
I was actually reading the comments alongside with you to keep track.
Were you?
Yeah, I actually was. Do you want to take my phone to check? No.
So I think, to be honest, overall, we're at this point where we're kind of at the end of the podcast. What's the time? It's currently 20 past midnight, and you're waking up in 3 hours.
Yep, I have to go home at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I mean, we can always talk about when you have to be awake, because if we're going to organise things that way, to try and have it be that you're not making much noise, you may not even have to wake up too early. Overall, we're going to try and get some more segments in, because obviously January has just been kind of a sort of setting down month, because everyone's been kind of getting settled in after Christmas again.
Yeah.
People have just been busy with the new year kicking in again, etc. So we've not been as free. We would have liked to be able to try and get Kate into the segment for On the Scene. No offence, PMG. Okay,
he's growling.
He's
snarling.
baring his teeth.
Always.
Cool, there you go.
Gribble.
But hopefully we'll get Kate in to do the Cravat Doctor and the Riley segment, which will be in the April podcast.
Indeed.
But yes, so thank you all for listening, and thank you, PMG, for being here.
Thank you. I'm sorry that I didn't have more that I could reveal about On the Scene 2, and ended up on a variety of segues about times with Kat and just general meanness. But like I said, I don't want to spoil anything, so thank you very much for having me.
Always welcome. And yeah, it's great to be back after like over 2 months of actually being away from the podcast.
It's been a nice little break, hasn't it?
A little bit.
Yeah, I think it's worth maybe doing that a little bit more, like maybe towards the end of the year, record some back to back, because it was Christmas and New Year. We were never going to organise ourselves properly because we were really busy around that time anyway.
Indeed.
So, yeah,
it's good to be back. New year, new podcast.
New me.
No, same old me. All my flaws.
I know.
Yeah, you didn't laugh.
Because it wasn't a joke.
See you next month, everyone.
Bye, everyone.